Hello friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you lot are all doing well. I really do hope that. Right, Stamford Bridge, the home of the champions of Europe, of course. A wonderful place where many Chelsea fans would call their perhaps temple, their home. Some place where they go and just to enjoy themselves. For a long time, people have speculated on whether Stamford Bridge needs a few upgrades, most notably expansion of capacity. It's got barely over sort of 40,000 people that you can get in there at the moment, and considering the aforementioned fact of Chelsea are champions of Europe again, and looking like contenders for the Premier League title again, you do wonder whatever happened to that concept stadium, Chelsea's development plans for the new super stadium developed by the same people who built the Bird's Nest. We're going to dip into that today, go back in time. It was only a few years ago when it looked like that was on. I'm going to reference an article from football.london to give you guys some information, but then I want to give you my opinion on what it would take, what it would entail, would there be risks involved, is it worth it? A lot to get into. Before we get into the content today, guys, I'd like to urge you all to subscribe to this channel, Football Therapy, if you think you might like the content, and if you're a returning visitor who is yet to subscribe, hey, I'd ask you, friend, to drop a sub as well. And if you want to help me out in what is a dark abyss that is the YouTube algorithm, please do consider dropping a like on this video. It does help me out a lot. Alright then, let's get into it. Cool, so Chelsea Football Club, Stamford Bridge. Synonymous, of course, a wonderful stadium. I've been there a bunch of times, but yes, you think perhaps it could be bigger, and if you consider its locale on Fulham Broadway, and that sort of perhaps more expensive, nicer part of London, you'd think at this point they would want to catch up and make a new, shiny stadium, especially if you consider how Tottenham Hotspur probably have the sort of nicest stadium in Europe at the moment. Chelsea, and most notably Roman Abramovich, would not like that, especially considering how synonymous Chelsea are with being the best team in London at the moment. Sorry, Arsenal fans. The truth is, Chelsea have just won their second European Cup. In fact, they've won 8 European trophies, the same amount as Manchester United. Their academy is now recognised as a world-class establishment, institution that makes incredible football players that become Premier League players, Serie A players, just excellent players. And of course, Chelsea's women's team is excellent as well, with manager Emma Hayes making an incredible team, an incredible success of the women's team, and indeed helping out women's football. Roman Abramovich has put money into all of these facets of Chelsea Football Club, and you can imagine he would be very interested in his product, his brand, in a way his play toy, having the big shiny stadium to go with it. So before I give you my opinion on the concept stadium, what it would mean to, move out of Stamford Bridge for a year or two and all that, let's dive into this football.london article for a reference of where we are, or where we were, in terms of the stadium redevelopment. For reference, this article was published in January of this year, written by Sam Ingersoll. 4 years ago, on January the 11th, 2017, Chelsea looked set to usher in a new era in West London as they were given planning permission to rebuild Stamford Bridge. At a meeting of the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham Planning and Development and Control Committee, the members voted by a landslide 10-0 to approve the plans, with a view to the stadium being built by March 31st, 2021. So yeah, we should have been sitting in the new stadium by now, enjoying the beautiful architecture, and it did look like beautiful architecture. The new Stamford Bridge was set to be the, quote, jewel in London's sporting crown, end quote, said the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, back in 2017, as Chelsea's current home was set to be razed to the ground and then rebuilt, much like the £1 billion behemoth in North London that is now home to Tottenham Hotspur. The Blues could have been far away from their spiritual home for up to 4 seasons while the new 60,000 seat arena was built. The plans showed the roof of the new arena would be supported by 264 radial steel roof trusses spanning 50 meters over the top of the stadium in a design that looks striking, to say the least. Certainly did look striking, very different, peculiar, but I kind of liked it. However, 18 months later, and the plans of the new stadium were axed, as Chelsea released a statement which said, Chelsea Football Club announces today that it has put its new stadium project on hold. No further pre-construction design and planning will occur. The club does not have a time frame set for the reconsideration of its decision. The decision was made due to the current unfavourable investment climate. A lot of people have also speculated that this decision was made partially due to the fact how perhaps Roman Abramovich can't attend football games in England in the stadium. Maybe. Obviously that, I don't know if that's true, this is speculation, but it was around the time when Roman couldn't come in the UK anymore, or, withdrew his visa application. Maybe related? Could have been related. Since then, there's been no movement at all on the new stadium. The planning consent that was approved in 2017 expired in March last year, so the club would have to go through the whole process again. At the time, Chelsea noted the expiration of the consent, saying, Chelsea Football Club acknowledges that the planning permission we obtained for the new stadium expires on the 31st of March. We are grateful to all our fans, stakeholders, especially Hammersmith and Fulham Council for their patience and understanding in the matter. We will continue to consider our options for the new stadium should economic conditions improve. Right, so as things stand, they've got it on pause. I think probably behind the scene the inclination is still there, and the desire is still there from the ownership to make this happen. All hope is not lost though, as back in June last year, when the country was in the grip of the first wave of the pandemic, Housing, Communities and Local Government Secretary Robert Jenrick announced changes to planning rules in the hope of boosting post-COVID constructions. Not that anything seems remotely possible right now. Yeah, who knows? In a post-apocalyptic world where prices of houses and everything's going down in London, no one wants to be in the city anymore, especially now everyone seems to just work from home. Maybe the landscape changes for a more favourable, landscape for Chelsea to build said stadium. So look guys, where we're at. Right, lots of stuff in the financial market changed, which apparently swayed Chelsea's decision to put a pin in the idea. Of course, like I said, some people have speculated it's something to do with Roman Abramovich not being able to attend the stadium, no longer being able to do business in the UK, although that really, in terms of the development and betterment of Chelsea, that really shouldn't affect it. It's not like since that happened, Roman became entirely disinterested in Chelsea Football Club. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. He's put loads of money into transfers, he's ensured Chelsea have changed managers to win. He's used Chelsea as a sort of face for positive campaigns of anti-discrimination, which is stuff that is very important to him, and for him to sort of funnel that through Chelsea, something he's very proud of, shows that he is still very involved with the Chelsea project and is very happy and proud to be doing so. Look, Chelsea would absolutely continue to sell out Stamford Bridge with a larger capacity, which of course would mean more revenue for the club, but it also would mean a better atmosphere, a better experience with more people, should of course it be designed appropriately. Now, the architects that did design the concept of the new Stamford Bridge, and should it have gone ahead, it would have been designed incredibly well. But at the time, we were looking at least 2 years away from Stamford Bridge while it's being built in terms of where we play our games, and who knows where that would have left us. I mean, in that time, we'd only really won an FA Cup and Europa League, so maybe you'd think, oh, well, we could have sacrificed those, the Premier League just before and a Champions League just after that time frame, but you don't know if things would have worked out like that. It's the butterfly effect. You don't know what happens if something massive does or doesn't happen, how that would shift, history essentially. There were heavy links with Chelsea playing at Twickenham, a rugby ground, for a long time, and of course maybe something like Wembley or the Olympic Stadium, West Ham Stadium, which would be thoroughly unpleasant of course. How does that affect Chelsea's campaigns, playing away from home, not really having a home? Who knows? We know it affected Tottenham very negatively, and moving into big new stadiums, it's never just always easy. Look at West Ham in the Olympic Stadium, or now the London Stadium. They're huge trouble when they moved into there. To be honest, I'm not sure how well Tottenham Hotspur are doing in their new stadium. Is it worth it for 15, 20 more thousand people in the stadium? Yeah, maybe, possibly. 60,000 is a good amount of people. It's not a crazy amount of people, but it's a big amount of people, and if it's in a new shiny stadium, then it can make a lot of sense. If Chelsea continue their success, and as the sort of financial climate settles down a little bit and we move back into normality in this world, personally, I think this will be readdressed, and I think Chelsea will look to rebuild Stamford Bridge. I think it will probably be under the ownership of Roman Abramovich as well, and I think eventually he will return to the UK so he is able to come home and watch games at Chelsea Football Club. I wanted to make this video and talk about it because I think it's an interesting talking point, and I'm very interested to learn football fans' opinions on this, so please do comment down below your thoughts and feelings about this. I'll be very interested to learn that. If you've enjoyed the content, please do drop a like. It does mean a lot to me, your host Jan here on Football Therapy, and of course I'd urge you to subscribe, only if you want to, if you're new to the experience. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by, enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.